Now, what's in here? Well, there's about a dozen tiny little shops, and there's a branch office of the local credit union. It's probably that €50 per week floor space that was mentioned. You never know what's in there week to week. I got a voucher for you can get your feet nibbled by fish. They were at the one end of it a few months ago, but they might be gone now. There's that type of turnover there all the time, which I suppose is symptomatic of people starting and failing perhaps, or starting and moving on to more conventional space. But it's functioning well, I think, for that type of function. The space, I think, is lovely. Whether it'll be used for concerts, markets or whatever, it's up for that. The management say there isn't a great profit in it yet, but they will temper anything with, again, the immunity concerns of residents who look down on it from above. So moving in, the impact. Now the impact of the development. Well, if you can imagine the trains used to come in at ground level there, but they loaded and unloaded at the level of the top of that new plinth. So the main impact on the goods shed is that the floor has been dropped by about 1,200 millimetres, and therefore the proportions of that glazed opening would be elongated. The plinth is new. The lighter colour there are granite jambs to the sides of an otherwise brick arch to take the knocks of goods in and out off the train historically. So I think the impact has been fairly modest compared to the benefits gained. Now, when you go behind the goods shed, you enter the shopping mall. It's a conventional double-sided mall with the big multiple retailers. TK Maxx is at one end, Dunnes Stores is at the other. You can see these circular light vents in the ceiling of the mall. We'll see those from the top later on. When you come down the mall, you crank to the left, and on axis with the escalators coming up from the underground car parks, you enter what's termed goods or workhouse square. Now, this is the old men's yard of the workhouse. It's now the focal point of the shopping centre. It contains 4 restaurants, start-up business space. I should have said that the county council maintain an equity in this development. In fact, I skipped forward a little bit too quickly. I should explain. The county council owned the workhouse. Ian Rod Aaron owned the station buildings. There was an integrated area plan adopted and a competition held. Now the integrated area plan brought tax benefits to a developer. A company called Chesterbridge with Reddy Associate Architects and David Slattery won that competition. They had been active in Drogheda and here in Dublin Docklands. The county council have, I think, a 5% stake in the finished scheme. The borough council were the planning authority, and I think that was good because inevitably a shopping centre, it was appealed. There was an oral hearing, determination by Bord Pleanála. There was objections from the high street traders, from Osprey Park residents nearby, from the rival Mart site developer. Anyway, the county council still has office floor space. I'll show it to you in a moment in here for start-up business. The history of the place is on a small permanent display there on the left. There's the gables of the 3-storey former dormitory block, men's block of the workhouse. Now, it's undercover. That was somewhat contentious. I'll come back to that at the end. But it does work very well, this space. It's all weather, all year-round use. It's a fairly jolly kind of place. It's a nice size, and there's generally something going on there, most weekends or every other day. All sorts of community groups have little events and so on. I think it's been quite successful. Now, what about the impact on the workhouse? Well, I have to say it's been huge. If you can recall, the workhouse had a 3-storey dormitory building. It had single-storey work sheds, dining room and chapel. It had a 2-storey infirmary block. But what we have here is a level eaves line for a new symmetrically structured glass roof. So what we're looking at there, for instance, is properly restored wall of the old chapel, the windows put back to the correct profiles and configurations and so on. But the complete upper floor there is new. The architecture is nice, the detailing is crisp, but the restoration of that roof vent, including the lovely scalloped leadwork and so on, is maybe a little bit Disney-esque in the sense that it now sits 3 meters higher than it ever did historically. When we come around the return leg of the mall to Dunstores, I think the impact on the workhouse is severe. You can't see the roof anymore. These were the yards I mentioned for lunatics, imbeciles, asylums where they were quarantined. It's now a covered shopping mall. Again, the windows, the limestone has been properly restored, although it didn't work for retail, and later permission was granted for these type of plant-on display cabinets, I suppose you'd call them, whereby the people who have the shops behind the sash and case windows put stuff out there and try to grab your attention.